I'm Julia Johnson with the Washington Examiner, and I'm joined today by House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Thank you for joining me today.
Good to be with you.
So the first thing I want to start with, the Congressional Baseball Game is coming up. Now, 6 years ago, you were critically injured when you were shot when someone attacked the Republicans practicing for the baseball game. When you look back at this and the environment from 2017 and the environment today, could you see something like that happening again? Is it better, worse?
Well, I hope not, but obviously there's still political violence that we see. I've always been very vocal against political violence because, you know, we have differences in this country. It's frankly what makes us a great nation, but you don't settle your differences with violence. Clearly that day, somebody showed up to the baseball field with the intent of killing every Republican on the field. And thank goodness God was on the field and heroes, real heroes that made sure we all made it through that day alive.
Now, going through such a life-altering experience like that, I mean, how does it affect your outlook on life and even as a lawmaker? I mean, or have you changed how you look at these disagreements or what bills?
Well, if anything, it gives perspective to what's important in life. You know, I'm blessed with a great family. I've got great friends. I love the job that I do. And, you know, when I was in the hospital for 3.5 months, you know, my family was there really helping give me strength. People, friends and strangers alike were praying. And I felt those prayers. It gave me strength in the recovery. I had to go through multiple surgeries, 9 surgeries. I had to learn how to walk again. But I also wanted to get back to work and see my colleagues again and do the things that I love doing, fighting for the values that I believe in. And, you know, and luckily I'm able to do that too.
Now, you've been involved in the Congressional Baseball Game for years. So who's going to win this year?
Look, we're the defending champs right now, and we are focused on winning again. You know, you've got to show up. We've got great team. We show up at practice every day, and people are giving it their all. And you know, you get to play in the big league ballpark. It's a special moment. We raised probably about $1.5 million for local charities. It's really helped a lot of local youth groups here in D.C. and we get about 20,000 people in the stands. It's a lot of people. But we're competitive, and we want to win, and we play to win. And you know, it's going to be a lot of fun, but hopefully the Republicans come out on top again.
Is there an MVP on the Republican team?
Yeah, look, I mean, you go last year, and August Pfluger had a phenomenal game. He was the MVP. Year before that, Greg Stubbe was our starting pitcher and hit a home run out of the park, which had never happened before since we've been playing in Washington National Stadium. So, you know, they're both back in great form, and we got some new players too. So, you know, it's one of those games where everybody's got to show up. You never know what's going to emerge, who's going to be the star player of the day. But most important thing is that we get a win for the team.
Now, on a different subject, we just saw the gas stove bills that the Republican conference was working on kind of be squashed by your own conference. Were you expecting that?
No, but, you know, we're having conversations with members that, you know, there's a lot of complicated issues that we've been working through. We've got a small majority, with 5-seat majority, you know, and so there've been a number of issues over these last 5 months that have taken a long time to work through, and yet we did. We delivered big on a strong energy bill, the Lower Energy Costs Act. We delivered really big on a border security bill. First time that we've seen Congress pass a strong border security bill. We've done a number of other big things too. We're working on, of course, getting the appropriations process started where we can continue pushing back on the overreach and the radical extremism of the Biden administration. You know, in these bills, the gas stoves, where they literally, Biden administration is trying to ban gas stoves. It's nuts. As well as the REINS Act, some other bills. We're going to keep moving forward in our agenda. But we also are going to continue having conversations with members in every level of our conference. We have a lot of different opinions within the Republican conference, but we're in the majority and we've been delivering big wins, and we've got a lot more to do.
Now, these House Freedom Caucus members who tanked this rule, they don't think Speaker McCarthy did enough in the debt ceiling negotiations. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, it's the first time we've ever had real spending cuts in a debt ceiling deal in over a decade, and that's rare. It should be common in this town. Usually you see Washington trying to negotiate over how much more to spend. We actually were able to get real cuts, billions in cuts. There's more we want to do, and I understand the frustration. I've talked to a lot of those members because there were a lot of things that we passed out of the House in a bill that most of those members that opposed the bill last week were supportive of. That didn't make it into the final product, and it was a negotiation with the president and a Democrat Senate. We need to continue fighting for those reforms. We've got to get spending under control. We've got to keep this administration in check. And by the way, there's still a lot of oversight going on. You know, if you look at the Oversight Committee, Jamie Comer and his members, Judiciary, Jim Jordan and his members, doing a lot to push back on the Biden administration, but also to hold them accountable, to expose a lot of the fraud, the corruption that's going on too.
Now, speaking of those chairmen, you put out a statement recently because Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas did not respond to a letter requesting information about some of these illegal immigrants with ties to terrorist organizations. You said you guys are going to look at resources to try and hold them accountable and get Mayorkas to comply. What are some of these resources?
Well, you know, just through the subpoena powers of Congress, we've been asking for really over 2 years since Joe Biden took the oath of office. And day one, he opened up our southern border. He stopped building the wall. He ended the Remain in Mexico protocols, as well as some of the other agreements, the Northern Triangle agreements that were working well under President Trump to secure America's border. What we've seen since Biden opened up the border is a flood of millions of people coming across illegally, but also people on the terrorist watch list. The drug cartels from Mexico getting operational controls, bringing deadly fentanyl in that's killing over 150 young people every single day in America. And we've asked the Biden administration for the facts. You know, how many people are coming in? How many are on the terrorist watch list? Where are they being sent? And up until now, the Biden administration's refused to share that information. So we've got a number of tools, including subpoena powers and other things that we're going to exercise.
Now, Chairman Comer is also moving forward with holding FBI Director Christopher Wray in contempt for not complying with the subpoena to put forward the FBI document that allegedly shows this exchange of money between Biden and a foreign national. Are you in support of holding Director Wray in contempt?
Well, if he doesn't comply with Congress, then absolutely. And right now, what Chairman Comer is doing is trying to get those documents for the full membership. He's been able to see them, as is the ranking Democrat, but not the full committee. And under our oversight rules, the whole committee should have access to those documents. And we're going to push to get those. And if they're not delivered, then obviously contempt is an option that we've put on the table.
And one more thing before I let you go is you've avoided endorsing anyone in the 2024 presidential race. Are you going to endorse before the primary?
I very well may. I've got a lot of friends in the race. I mean, I've worked very closely with President Trump when he was in office, especially when we were in the majority for those 2 years. We delivered huge wins for the American people, and President Trump led the way. I don't think anybody can argue with how successful those policies were. Right now, we're focused on trying to get spending under control and push back against the far left extremism of the Biden administration. And so that's been taking a lot of our energy. I know there's a number of Republicans that are in the early stages of these primaries. It'll heat up, I'm sure, early next year when you see Iowa, New Hampshire really get the official season started. We got a lot of work to do right now. We're focused on that, and there'll be a time, because we've got to get the White House back. We've got to win, hopefully, the White House and the Senate next year while growing the House majority.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Majority Leader Scalise.
Appreciate it.
I'm Julia Johnson for the Washington Examiner, and you can find more exclusive interviews at washingtonexaminer.com.